this is so important to alvimedica and the team.
Well, being a healthcare company, being in a sports environment doesn't take us from our road. Because first thing for us is that these young people should come back to Gothenburg after 9 months, even more healthy than the first day in Alicante. So they are in the extreme stress conditions. Their conditions in that boat are even far ahead than a war zone soldier. So they can't eat properly. You know what they're eating during the course. They can't drink properly, they can't rest properly, and they are 24 hours under a very strong stress of running that boat in the highest speed that they can. So this really cracks everyone down. But what we are trying to do is to monitor their health, although they may not sense it as they are so young and so healthy. But the late results of that 9 months stress and, let's say, non-proper dietary conditions and the health conditions will affect them in the end. So what we are trying to do, together with 3 major universities around the world, one of them is Uppsala University Medical Faculty from Sweden, the other one is Karolinska Institute, which is famous with Nobel Prizes, and the third one is Southampton University from England. They have specific knowledge about different areas, especially regarding the changes in human body due to stress times. Some of those medical experts are looking at the heart, their heart, where under stress conditions they can build an unhealthy muscle and unhealthy ejaculation rate. And the other one group is looking for our friends' body muscle fat contents and how those are changing according to their metabolism under those stress and malnutrition, we can say, conditions. And the third group is also looking for the general rhythmic electricity pulses of their heart and how it is affected by the long-term stress. But in general, as I mentioned, what we are trying to do is to keep the team as healthy as possible till the end of the race. And of course, this is a very unique condition that the data that we are gathering, we will share in the end of the race with the medical community, because it will show many different aspects of daily life of different group of people. Because the stress they are facing in the boat is not much different than the guys who are in the boardrooms of the companies, large holdings. They are facing maybe even different, but mentally a similar kind of stress. And in many others, like many soldiers in the war zones, or as mentioned, some astronauts in the sky, are facing similar stress on their body, but those data have never been shared in the medical community. So from the very beginning, with their acceptance and also acceptance of that 3 universities, by the end of the race we will also publish it as a medical paper and discuss the outcomes in different congresses in order to give a clue to people what is happening to human body under high stress conditions, not only mental stress but also physical stress.
Thank you, Jem. And Jem will be here afterwards as well to sit down with any of you who'd like to hear more detail about the medical program. So now I'd like to turn it over to you all to open it up to general Q&A. So questions, please. Alan.
Is it Jem?
Yeah.
Jem. Alan Block from Sailing Anarchy. It's
Well,
great.
I'm making fun of you.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm also a skipper.
I'm a fan
in
of
our
you too.
small, far 40. So.
I know all about you.
Oh, thank you. Am I that famous?
To me, yeah. As a sailor, I don't care what happens to the soldiers that much, but I really care what happens to the sailors. I'm wondering, does this provide you with the opportunity to not I mean, on a general level, for a medical paper and general observations, fine, but will this give us something as sailors specifically to be able to figure out much better how to do this stuff offshore? What's a better way to do nutrition? What's a better way to do workouts and recovery? And that we can apply it to ocean racing and really improve our performance?
We hope so. For our team, after every finish, we are getting all the medical examinations, the blood tests and everything. And then the group of doctors are recommending them how they will design their nutrition during the stopover. Some of the elements in their blood levels may change. For example, the major thing that we are looking after is the sodium levels. Sodium is, as you know, salt. But the food that they are having during the race contains a very high sodium level. And with the amount of water, they cannot wash it out. So we are trying to keep them in a low sodium nutrition during the stopovers, but it changes according to each person. So one of them will have in the mediums, but some of them may have very high sodium levels when they come to the land. So accordingly, we are advising them what to eat, what not to eat, or how to exercise. Also, due to their muscle fat contents, our doctors are designing their exercises. Because most of the sailors or most of the sports people thinks that exercise is always good. And as hard as you exercise, you have a better sports conditions, which is not true. Because each muscle needs a different type of exercise and it has to be designed accordingly. And during, as you all know, during the sailing time, you do not use all of your muscles. Some of them you use in the extreme levels, some of them you never even touch. So that is also designed while they are in the land, their exercise levels and other things are. And by the end of the race, if there are some common points that we can underline, then of course we will share with all sailing society. So all the ocean races or long-term races should take care of that.
Question? Yes, in the back.
I was just wondering for like a really easy, quantifiable way of seeing the sort of stress that Steve sailors are under.
Is that question to me?
Well, maybe you're the man to answer, maybe the sailors are the man to answer. I'll put it out to everybody. But I was just wondering if there was if anybody experienced like a large drop in body weight or body fat percentage, just for something like the non-sailor, the non-sportsman could kind of understand. We talk about the level of stress that you guys are under. Did anyone sort of, hit the big sort of, I lost 5 kilos or something like that on leg one, or, I'm hoping that you guys haven't hit it so perfectly yet on your medical program that you're not experiencing any fat loss or anything like that. It'd be interesting to know if there's a story behind that. Anybody kind of drop a bit of body weight or something like that? What was the largest drop?
The average, I think, as a boat, we averaged 1.9 kgs in weight loss, which was the lowest number out of the fleet. And I don't know if that just means that we're more hungry than anybody else, or if it means that we bring food that's more edible. But the rules require a food bag weigh no more than 25 kgs, and that is for 2 days of a race. And so all the teams are somewhat limited in what we bring, but we lost the least out of anyone.
That just means you get the best chef.
I'm maybe blushing a little bit.
Just a little.
I mean, I don't know. I lost 2. There's 1.8, and I don't know.
And going on from that then, I mean, in your experience as sailors, presumably you've done a lot of sailing before. If you say that you've lost the least in the fleet, are you kind of looking at that and you know what it was that you're joking about and having a good chef and things like that, but is there something different in this program or the way that it's been approached that you could put your finger on and say that is kind of making a difference, or at the moment is it a bit ambiguous?
I mean, I can give you a little background about the food program. It's what I used. So as I said earlier, I did the last race with Puma, and we kind of used that as a starting point. And obviously, every boat has different tastes, and what the guys on Puma like, the guys here don't necessarily like as much. Or so we kind of sort of over the 3 months of training, that evolved to the taste of this group, and it's still evolving. For example, we for this leg we're going to more what Albie calls "quote unquote" real food, which is something like tuna and a wrap, or sort of moving away from the chocolate and the sugar and the bars. That's just one small detail, but of course it's always changing, and as the race continues, 9 months is a long time to be eating the same thing, and so we'll start supplementing some products with some others, but it's a fairly straightforward process. You know, as far as the food groups go, you have your freeze-dried meals and then your snacks. And I think we had too many peanuts. That was the general feedback. But I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that.
Well, I can give a slightly medical answer, as we are discussing it with my colleagues in different universities. Well, the results of this study, not only this study, but how we keep the group under control in nutrition and their body fat, the results will be seen, especially after the third, fourth stages, because it's a kind of cumulative thing. For example, last 3 weeks, we do not know what the other teams are doing, but if we just let the team by themselves, and they would be going to some pubs, having a lot of burgers with a lot of lager, and their nutrition will be like that, which I'm sorry, they're not having it. But if you continue not controlling your health parameters, then it's a very cumulative thing. And after the second stage, especially during third and fourth stage, which are the hardest ones, as far as I know, from Sanya to Auckland to Itajaí, then we'll see the difference very clearly.
I should also add that we have a physio, a trainer, who is advising us with all of this. It's not just us making these decisions. Someone who knows exactly what we're taking on board and who has a lot of experience with it. He's hiding probably down in one of those containers.
And we'll release the findings as we get them, and certainly the cumulative findings after the race itself. But questions? Maybe we could just do one question to Will, just kind of looking ahead to Lake 2. Maybe just for the group, give a short overview of a long leg ahead.
Yeah. Right, we just had a weather briefing, so we're across it. So we leave here in a nice strong southeasterly. So the first night will be upwind in heavy air. Then we have probably a broad reach across the Agulhas bank. And then the second night we have the 4 knots of Agulhas current against 20 knots of breeze. So the seas will be interesting, crossing the Agulhas current, so that's night 2. We haven't, of course, decided exactly what we're doing, but at the moment it looks like the situation will be we'll be still trying to get south and going east. The challenge then is to get transition from south of the high pressure, which will be east of South Africa, to north of that high pressure. That looks pretty tricky, but let's assume we come out of that okay. We then have the first tropical storm system of the season, which was named yesterday, and is forecast to intersect with our track north. So we can either be upwind on the eastern side of that tropical storm, or we can be trying to get to the west of it and be downwind. But the other danger, of course, is pirates, and so we have an exclusion zone that we're not allowed to enter. So the chances are we'll be pushed up against the side of that exclusion zone trying to squeeze around a tropical storm. Having done that, we might find some southeasterlies, although there is another tropical storm that is forecast to maybe exist. We then have 2 doldrums, and then we have very light winds for the last 1,000 miles or so into the Persian Gulf. Does anybody want to come? So it's a really, really tricky leg. And we're looking forward to it, strangely.
Before we get into the race crew, I'd just like to reiterate some of the things that Jem and Weasel spoke about today. I know personally it was a very special day for me, to have that opportunity, and I think I speak for Dave. I think he feels the same. It provides you with some serious perspective. We're fortunate enough to be out here sailing around the world while these people in the hospital are doing their best to try to change it. It's a pretty amazing thing. And I don't know about watery eyes, you might have caught me at a weak moment, but it was definitely quite the experience. And I think it's something that all of us will do at various times as we go to these different stopovers. We talked about a possible rotation on the way back, and both Dave and I said, well, we don't want to give up our spots. We want to go to every single one because it really is a powerful experience and something that we enjoyed very much. So anyway, changing gears a little bit, talking about our race team. Up first here, to my left, we have Nick Dana. Nick Dana does a lot of the bow work for us on Team Alvimedica, and he's also our boat captain out of Newport, Rhode Island. So Nick, you want to just tell us a little bit about your favorite memory here from leg one?
Yep.
You can involve me too.
Yeah. The leg one was a pretty good one for us. I think there's a lot to build on with it, and our team meshed really well. So there wasn't anything that probably stuck out too much as far as a singular moment that was really great. I think the whole team dynamic really showed its colors, and it is something that we have a lot to build on. So I think moving forward, we're all pretty excited about what we can do in our actual just boat speed relative to the rest of the fleet. So I think for me the most positive thing is that we're actually competitive with the rest of these old boys.
Nice.
This is Dave Sweet. To my left.
Yeah, so next year, we got a microphone coming, so this will allow me to hold on to this one, presumably, and the other one will get passed down the line. But yeah, next we have Dave Sweet. Dave and I went to the hospital together this morning. Dave is opposite Nick on the boat as far as the watch system goes, does a lot of his work up front, but one of our all-around sailors. There's nothing on the boat that Dave can't do. Dave is from Auckland, New Zealand. We'll let him tell you a little bit about his leg one experience.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Nick. I think leg one is pretty much backing up what Nick said. We obviously had a really good import race in Alicante and showed a bit about what we could do with crew maneuvers and stuff like that. And I think that we backed that up coming out of the Med. So we're in good shape coming out of the Med, and then the positive from there was that we pretty much improved our boat speed the whole way down the coast. And I think again moving forward, I'm really looking forward to getting out there and getting into it in the next leg. And I think we can show a bit more of our boat speed and hopefully improve on our position for sure. The team's gelling very well, and yeah, I mean, I did this race last time and we didn't make it here. And I think our best result was a fifth in the importers with QC on Team Sanya, and already this team is blowing that out of the water. So it's a really good team to be involved with, and yeah, just proud of our efforts so far. So yeah, thank you.
Next up, we got Sébastien Marcet from France. Comes from a very French sailing background. Offshore, short-handed type stuff. Seb is a busy beaver. I can confidently say one of the hardest working guys on the team. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, always doing something. I don't know what, but it's the best thing about. Seb comes, like I said, from a kind of French offshore sailing background. And Seb, you want to tell us a little bit about your leg one experience?
Yeah, leg one was a really good experience for me because I met this team not a long time ago, but everything works well. And definitely my biggest memories from this leg was getting out of Alicante and cross the starting line, which was a really huge moment. You feel you're starting something really big, and so yeah, I'm really happy to do this with this team and to move forward into this race.
All right, thanks, Seb. Next up, across the aisle, we have Alberto Bolzan from Italy, who is back from Italy. Just landed today. Albi comes from Trieste, comes from a kind of a one design sailing background. Plenty of experience on bigger boats as well. Albi's the primary helmsman on the Azimuth Europa, the 100-footer that sails in and around the Med. Albi's one of our clearly fastest helmsmen, and that's what he spends the majority of his time doing. Albi, you want to tell us a little bit about leg one?
The leg one for me was a great experience because it was the first leg of my first Volvo race. So it was a very important moment for me And it was the beginning of the game. We trained hard for months looking for this race, and it's done. Now we have to think about the second leg.
Thanks, Albie. Next up, Ryan Houston from Auckland, New Zealand. Ryan sailed the last race with Dave on the Sonia, like he alluded to before. And before that, on Delta Lloyd. Ryan does also a lot of sailing on Grand Prix IRC boats, like the Vogess with the Vestas and a bunch of other stuff. Brian, you want to tell us a little bit about leg one, which you were able to finish for the second time?
Yeah, it was good to finish for the second time, and I guess like most people on this, we're pretty pleased with the way we started, but we all know that there's quite a lot more to do to get on the podium, and I think we have the opportunity to do that, and that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's what I also enjoyed in the first league, that it's not out of our reach, and if we work hard and put in a good effort, we should be able to get there.
Thanks, Ryan. Next up, Will Oxley. Will actually got to go back to Australia, during this stopover as well. He's back a couple days ago. Will has sailed potentially more miles than all of us combined. But he was one of the 3 finishers in the last time this race ran down here to Cape Town. Will, you want to tell us a little bit about leg one from your perspective, perhaps navigationally, because that's what you do?
Well, I guess 2 things. One is it was the first to do exactly the opposite of what you're asking me to do. The first thing is that I was, for some unknown reason, the first time I was chosen to be King Neptune, so that was a very new experience for me.
I was hoping you'd kind of skip over that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it gave me the opportunity to indoctrinate 3 of the crew who had not yet crossed the equator, and that was a pretty interesting experience for me, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And that leads me into the thing that I'm particularly enjoying about this crew is the youth and enthusiasm is stronger than any other team that I have actually sailed with. These guys are here because they want to race around the world. They're here because they're hungry, and everybody is striving to learn, and it's a very different environment to the more experienced teams where you encounter people who are set in their ways, and this is how I trim the jib shut up, this is how I drive the boat. Everyone here is learning from each other, and for that reason I firmly believe that we will continue to improve, and you'll see the most improvement from us throughout this race.
Thanks, Will. Next up, we have Amory Ross, our onboard reporter. You guys, see the world, basically, or our world, I should say, through his lens. Amory is from Newport, Rhode Island, and we have done a lot of sailing together, and I will let him tell you a little bit about leg one from his perspective.
I think without any question, the most enjoyable part of leg one for me was sailing here into Cape Town. I did the last race with Puma, and we made it here with a few days to spare, and our arrival was in the back of a container ship. But I had to listen to the other 10 guys on that boat talk about sailing into Table Bay and Table Mountain, and it was always this thing that I was, even for the rest of the race, someone was saying, oh, you have to go back and do another leg one. And I think when I first asked Will when we'd show up here and it was going to be a nighttime arrival, I was a little disappointed. But I'll always remember hitting send on the last video, and about 10 minutes later hearing these guys up on deck just yelling and coming up, and it was a full moon and we were ripping. It was like 35 knots of breeze, helmets, just the full moon, you could see Table Mountain, and it was sort of a long time in the making, and I will always remember that. So very good sort of finish to leg one for me.
All right, thanks, Emma. You can't leave now that you've seen Table Mountain. You just need to keep going.
We now know why he's the writer.
Yeah, there you go. All the way around. Anyway, last but certainly not least, we have Mark Tao from Kaneohe, Hawaii. Mark and I kind of co-founded All American Ocean Racing, which is a name that we use to kind of meet alvimedica. We've kind of been partners in crime for a really long time. Mark is one of the watch captains on the boat. And Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about leg one?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the themes from everybody here for us, we've got a really great group. We really came together during leg one, and I think we've got a lot more to give. So I'm sure from all the answers you've heard that from
my personal standpoint, a couple of moments that'll stick out for me. Just a number of firsts. My first Volvo leg, my first time crossing the equator and meeting King Neptune, who did a fantastic job. My first birthday offshore, so first time sailing into Cape Town. So a really memorable moment, and I'm really excited to get back out there and improve on our results in my team.
Awesome, thanks, Mark. I think the overwhelming theme here is that we're happy with our group. We're happy kind of with how we went, but we're by no means satisfied, and we're going to continue to work and hopefully improve at a dramatic clip. So that's it for us.